Hello everyone, welcome to the new video of the Classical Games series. Today we will be looking at the game from 1888 between Tarrasch and Harmonist. At least that is what I think he is called. Tarrasch was white and he opened with d4, Harmonist replied with d5, knight f3, knight f6, and now e3. As you can see, this move e3 blocks the c1 bishop, so this bishop will not be able to develop on these squares. But white has other plans for the c1 bishop. He probably wants to put it on this long diagonal after playing a move like b3. So it is a possible way to play. It is less ambitious, but it can lead to some interesting positions and maybe a kingside attack, depends from situation to situation. Well, Black decided to copycat White's strategy by simply mirroring his moves. Okay, for now they are not completely mirrored, but as you will see, very soon we get a completely symmetrical position. A few more moves were played, and if you put a mirror along the demarcation line, so between the 4th and 5th rank, you will see that we have exactly symmetrical position after 8 moves. So, a typical plan for white here is to put the knight on e5, support it with the f4 pawn, and then transfer his heavy pieces, either a rook or a queen, via f3 square to h3 or g3, and try to generate an attack on king's side. For black side, a typical countermeasure is either to post his knight on e4 and with f5 to continue with the symmetrical strategy and hope for equality. Actually, he has all rights to expect that, or to counterpunch from the flank with c5. So Tarrasch played the typical move, knight e5. I just want to mention an alternative move would be c4. And with this kind of move, you would try to operate on the queen side. But okay, in the game, knight e5 was played, and now black has the option to jump with his knight as well, but he rejected that plan and he went for the counter attack on the queen side, which is also a good plan, but you have to be precise. So white proceeded with the mentioned plan, and now as you can see, this knight is very heavily supported with these guys, and there is a way for the heavy pieces to go after the black king. Well, usually this attack should be repelled, but black has to be accurate. Okay, he played a good move, c5, pressuring this guy, and white just continued with his plan. So he chose to put the queen on f3 instead of a rook. The rook there was also a good option, and now this queen is ready to create some threats. You see, this guy is already looking at the king. This guy at the moment is not there, but after a capture on c5, for example, this diagonal would be open. But okay, white has to wait for the right moment to do that. So black put his queen on c7, and now queen g3. And believe it or not, this move holds a hidden threat. The threat is to actually win a piece. Let's say black would play something like this, some totally irrelevant move to the things that were happening on the board, then white would have a winning continuation. He could take here, and whichever way black recaptures, he will lose a piece. Let's say he goes with the knight, all you need to do is take on c5, and now at the same time you are attacking this guy and you are opening this bishop to help the queen threaten mate on g7. It would be no help here if the queen would take, because again we have the same thing. We take here, attack the bishop, and let's say this is retaken, and now thanks to the queen on g3 the knight is lost, and white has just a winning position. So as you can see, black has to be very careful, because if he is not, there are some dangers here. But he reacted properly. He took on d4, and with this move he is denying the white the option of taking on c5 and opening the diagonal. Well, on the other hand, white could consider taking here with the bishop, but that would just lose his central grip. After black would deal with the g7 threat, strengthen that point, then he could have a better central control. Let's say we take here, and what I'm saying, yes, this diagonal is open, but now the central control is on the black side. Look at this pawn chain, they are very strong, and also this pawn is backwards, and now you cannot push because this guy is hanging. It's just not advisable to go that route. So actually white took with his e pawn, and now this knight is very strong, but this bishop is a little bit stupid because it hits his own pawn, and it doesn't even have the reroute possibilities, because if it goes to c1 there are obstacles there also. But on the other hand, black has a similar bishop, and at least what white has is a very strong knight. So the position is about equal. And now black played a dubious move, h6. This is a totally unnecessary move. It doesn't prevent anything. There was no threat on g5. Even, okay, this bishop was looking at that pawn, but that pawn is very strongly protected for now. Okay, maybe in the future this move might be needed, but at this point black should try to operate somehow on the queen side. For example, he could go here, attack this knight, ask him what he's gonna do, and then if that knight moves, maybe he can try to organize some kind of play on the queen side. But okay, h6 was played, and that's definitely a loss of time. And now white started to play on two flanks. He put his rook behind his c pawn, preparing c2 c4 thrust to try to generate similar ideas as we had when there was a pawn on c5, like ideas where he can take something on c5. Maybe it's a little bit murky, my explanation, but it will be clear very soon. Okay, black played a6, taking control of the b5 square, although that was not completely necessary, but okay. And now c4. So there is a simple threat to take on d5 and discover the rook's attack on the queen. So this next move was forced in a way. He should either go here or here, because you can't stand opposed to the rook. And now, well, white wanted to be consistent, so he played rook c2 with the idea of doubling the rook on the c file and playing over there as planned. But he missed a really good strategical alternative, and that is to force black into allowing white to get a change of the pawn structure on the queen side. How is that? let's say white would like to have an ability to go this kind of move, but now this move just doesn't work. After taking here, you're in trouble. And because if you take back, black will take it with a check. But what was possible here is to take on d7 first, and when black recaptures, then go c5. This guy is attacked, and you cannot take here. Because now, when we retake, we open the diagonal for the bishop, there is a threat of mate, and the bishop is hanging. And even if you give this check, we'll just take it, and black doesn't have time to take the rook, because there is a mate threatened here. So, that would force black to retreat this bishop, but then after a move like b4, we have a really beautiful pawns on the queen side. These guys are going nowhere. They're firmly blockaded by this guy. Oops, sorry, you cannot do that. And by this bishop, by this guy, and these guys, they are really restricting black's play. So after, in this kind of position, white could go with the plan of pushing these guys, combining that with mating threats or some other threats against black king. But okay, here white missed this move, and probably because he already had the plan to double on the c file, and then after that he didn't maybe take other moves into consideration. So he played rook c2, and black at knight h5 attacked the white queen. The queen stepped away, knight came back, and now rook fc1. So what I wanted to say is that even here there was a chance for the same thing as mentioned before, but obviously white was blinded by his predetermined plan. So instead of rook fc1, he could go again for something different. This time, not with the idea of c5, because the queen is not on g3. I made a mistake there, but with the idea of f5. And now we can see that the position on the king side is going to open, and white's queen is there. I mean, we have the similar positions of the light pieces and rooks, but this queen is not where the action is, and also this rook is behind the pawn, and this guy is on the other side, so we can also say that this rook is much better than this guy, and this would really lead to very good position for white. It's not winning, but you can analyze it a little bit, even though it's not forced. In few moves, white would just generate very nice play. But anyway, he didn't play that for similar reasons, probably uh, for similar reasons as a few moves ago when he didn't play a move knight d7 followed by c5, because he already had a plan. He just thought that that's a good plan and didn't consider something out of the box. Maybe a little bit typical for Tarrasch, but okay, we cannot judge him. He was still one of the greatest players in his time, and we can all learn a lot from him, but maybe some orthodox methods of play. Okay, so after rook fc1, black played rook fd8, and white now came here to support this guy and maybe prepare some kind of attack in the future with g4, g5. We'll see. And if black allows, but black says no, we are not gonna let you organize anything. We are gonna first centralize our guy, and this knight is very strong here. It stops this bishop from his influence on the king side, and also in some situations allows for f5 to be played, and then this knight will never be kicked out. So white decided to exchange on d7 and to go for this move, because this looks like it is winning a pawn, but I will show you that later. Actually, it's not winning a pawn, but it looks like it is winning a pawn. Better move was again here f5, with stopping black from ever playing f5 himself, and trying to insist on attacking ideas on the king side. But okay, white went here, and after this exchange, black retook. He cannot take with the pawn because there is this guy here, free, for free. So he took with the bishop, and this was actually white's idea. He wanted to take this guy, but there is a problem. Black just puts the rook on the open file, and if you take this rook and black retakes, all of a sudden this guy, oh, why did it move? This guy is under double attack, and there is a threat of queen coming to c2, attacking the bishop and threatening to come to f2 with some devastating attack. So this would actually be a very, very bad position for white. Probably he realized that bishop a6 was not good, but only here. So he played knight e5, and with this move he will not get into a bad position, but now that he cannot win the pawn, he cannot count on any advantage. I mean, he has a strong knight, but this bishop is not in the attack, and black also has a strong knight, and now the position is just equal. So what black did, he just went for some exchanges, the queen c7, queen e3, rook takes, bishop takes, and queen b7. And if you look here, white can never be better. Black is also not better, but it is just an equal position. Even white has some weaknesses, because maybe these two pawns are a little bit far advanced and there are no rooks to support them. But anyway, black cannot take advantage of that, and white now, there is no point in trying to open up the position with f5 when there are no rooks behind to support that. And also, as you can see, this queen and this bishop, they are giving great support to this knight, so black doesn't even have to play f5. White will never be able to kick this guy. He can only exchange it for the bishop, but then he didn't gain anything. So the players realized that this position is equal, and here they agreed to draw. I just want to go back a few moves. So maybe a lesson from this game would be that sometimes when you have a plan which looks really good, like here, white had just a second. Oops, I'm pressing the wrong button. Like here, white had a plan to double on the c file, and he went with it, but actually he had the alternative of taking on d7 and pushing c5. Then a few moves later, again he continued with his plan, but actually he had a chance to again do something different than planned and achieve an advantage. So the thing is, if you have a good plan, don't blindly stick to it. You should stick to your plans, but sometimes it is good at least to consider the deviation from a plan. Many times it will not be a great thing to deviate from your plans, but sometimes it is just the right thing. I hope you liked this video, and goodbye.